wanted was a couple of drinks. I didn't show up here looking for a fight. It's been 3 weeks since you called me. I'm too hung up and I can't sleep. Or would you hear me out tonight? 'Cause I need nothing more than you. No, I need nothing more than you.
Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. My name's Christy. I'm in New South Wales, Australia, and today is the day after my big grocery haul. So I'm going to try and do a little bit of food prep, not a lot, but a bit. So already today I got a very late start. It was well after lunch before I even got started. So I have a zucchini slice in the oven right now. We're going to finish a couple of shepherd's pies for the freezer, and then I'm going to start a spicy apricot chicken in the slow cooker for dinner tonight. Probably make up a few pizzas maybe, and if we have time we'll do a whole bunch of baking. So the first thing I want to do is get the vegetables started for that shepherd's pie, so at least they're cooked. I'm just cutting up some carrots here, popping that in the thing. I had some broccoli already opened in the freezer. I had some cauliflower bag already opened in the freezer. Added in some celery and some frozen peas. So generally I'm not fussed with this. I just use whatever I have on hand, and now I can get started making the zucchini slice. So I ended up using 2 large zucchinis. I had 3 because I thought it might be more. You want to try and grate those and then squeeze out as much of that water as you can, and I just grated a couple of carrots as well. And then again, you just got to add whatever you've got. Like I usually do, I put in half a green capsicum. I usually like to put in half a red capsicum in as well, but I didn't have one. I just added some celery because I had that. Not a huge amount. A small onion I chopped up and popped in there. And about half a cup of frozen peas. I left that in a bowl while I went over to do the eggs. So it is 2 whole eggs and 3 egg whites, and you're just going to beat those with an electric mixer until they're all combined, and then we're going to add in all those veggies that we got together earlier. Stir that around a little bit. I added in a packet of ham, and probably want to add in about half a cup or more of cheese, 3/4 of a cup of flour, and we're just going to mix it all together. This almost has, now I'm going to say something controversial here. I don't like vegetables, and zucchinis are one of the vegetables I hate the most. But I actually really like this, and it's nice for lunches and things like that. So that's how it's looking at the moment before we cook it. Yeah, we're just going to top that with some cheese. We're going to toss it in the oven, I think about 180 for maybe 40 minutes or something. Oh, 35 minutes, there you go. And now we're just going to get the rest of that shepherd's pie together. So I'm just chopping up an onion here, draining the vegetables, and we're just going to start to cook the mince, that's all. I'm going to grab out everything that I'm going to need. So I've got Worcestershire sauce, tomato sauce, beef stock powder, Gravox. So I'm just adding the mince there along with the onion. Now you're actually going to use half a cup of Gravox with 3 cups of water. So I usually do 1.5 cups of water with 1/4 cup of Gravox, and then do the same thing over again so that it all fits into my container. I had that other zucchini, so I've grated that up in there as well to fill that out a little bit more. So that's just 1.5 cups of water there. I've got the 1/4 cup of the Gravox. There's 2 teaspoons of beef stock powder, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. Pop that in, and then we're going to go again with 1.5 cups of water and another 1/4 cup of the Gravox and stir that round. So once that's sort of boiled, starting to boil, then I just add the vegetables in and let that simmer for a bit. You got to keep stirring it, otherwise your gravy's going to get lumpy in there. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Just about ready to come out, and then it firms up quite a bit as it cools. I'm going to freeze that as it is and just add the potato when we're ready to eat it, like the night that we're going to have it. I prefer it like that. That's the zucchini slice out of the oven. I end up putting it back in for another 5 minutes because it was still a little bit soft in the middle. And time for my first washing up break. I can't stand a messy kitchen. I really can't. It's one of my pet peeves. So I hadn't had lunch yet and it was about 2 o'clock. So I decided to get myself, while this was steaming hot, some of this zucchini slice, ball full of vegetables I don't like, but I really do like this. It was quite yummy because of all the eggs and flour in there. It's almost like a quiche. So now we're going to start to prep the vegetables for dinner tonight because we're going to do that in the slow cooker. So I've just got a couple of stalks of celery, a small onion, a couple of carrots. I'm just going to chop that all up. And we're going to put this into a spicy apricot chicken. So I'm going to grab out all the ingredients here that I'm going to need. But first I'm just going to, maybe half a cup of apricots or so, dried apricots, and then I just chop them in half. So that's everything there. I've got some beef stock powder, a jar of salsa, some curry powder, and apricot nectar. So I'm popping all the vegetables into the slow cooker. I've got some diced chicken breast, which I had left over from weeks ago in the fridge. That's why we're using that tonight. It is 2 cups of apricot nectar. Then you're going to want 1 cup of water with 2 teaspoons of the beef stock powder, 1 teaspoon of the curry powder, and a jar of salsa. Now, I bought a medium spicy salsa in Aldi, but I noticed that I had an older one there, which was just mild. So that'll just cook itself there. So this one's a mild one tonight. It didn't have nearly as much kick as it normally does. I like to save the apricot nectar. I know that that's about 2 cups worth. So if I freeze it and when I defrost it, I've got it. I don't have to buy it again. I've got it for the next time I want to make that, and then I just wrapped up the celery in foil. And at this point, we thought we'd better deal with the pizzas. So I actually drained the pineapple there and kept the juice because I figure we'll do something with that later. So I'm just chopping up the pineapple pieces. My cat wanted some love and attention while I was doing that. Tied my hair back because I realised I'm molting more than the cat today. I don't know what's going on. And we've just got the Aldi pizza sauce. I find that the 1 bottle does the 5 Lebanese sheets. So again, I'm using up my old pizza cheese first. It's everything that I had left in that packet. Tossing on some pineapple. I decided to use the other half of the capsicum to pop onto a couple of these. I wish that I had mushrooms, but I did have a can of champignons and stems, so I just popped that onto the ones with the capsicum. Some ham, and then we opened up a fresh cheese to top that off with. And I had some company while I was doing this. She was very interested, as you'll see in a moment. There she is, looking guilty as anything, just waiting for me to drop something. So we popped those off into the freezer to kind of flash freeze to start. Decided to cut up the garlic bread. So I think I've mentioned before, hubby and I are the only ones who actually eat this. So we'll get 4 servings out of a garlic loaf. Usually I'll have that on a night if we have pasta or something like that. The shepherd's pie is cooled down and ready for the fridge. I decided to put the zucchini slice into the fridge just to cool a bit before I do anything else with it. I'm just going to separate this large packet of sausages. So half of them will go raw into the freezer so that we can pull them out for maybe sausage sandwiches if we have a barbecue on the weekend. And the rest I'm going to cook. Then I've decided, what am I going to do with the pineapple juice? It'd be great as an icing. I've never made pineapple icing before, so I thought, what can I make for that? Let's do a fruit slice. Now, I was actually raised by my grandparents, and my grandmother used to make this slice quite a bit, or at least as close to it as I can remember. I actually made it recently for her after her funeral. Not as good as she makes it, of course. So I just sifted a teaspoon of mixed spice in with a cup of self-raising flour. Then I melted 75 grams of margarine, added a few drops of vanilla, popped that in there with 2 eggs, a cup of sugar, I usually use raw sugar, a cup of coconut, and 1.5 cups of mixed fruit. And all you're going to do then is grease your tray and press it in, pop that in the oven, about 160, 170 for around half an hour. And again, we're washing up. I thought I'd do an icing. So I put the icing sugar in, just a dollop of the margarine, and then I've added way too much of the pineapple juice. So I had to keep mixing in more and more of icing sugar until I can get that consistency right. But I'll say this tasted fantastic. I'm definitely making a pineapple icing again. There it is out of the oven. And it's looking pretty good. I'm just going to leave it for a second and deal with this slice. So I decided to keep half of it in the fridge for me to eat for lunch throughout the rest of the week. And then the other half of it, I'm going to wrap up, pop into the freezer, and I know from experience that this comes out of the quite well. Like it's actually better reheated, I think. And then easy to microwave if I want it for lunch or something. I like to ice this while it's still warm, so I just pop the pineapple icing on top and spread it around. This is not going to be good for my diet, guys. And just sprinkled a little bit of coconut on top. I decided to cut a slice to show you how that looks. And there it is. Notice my cat is still hanging around. And I still haven't, look, I just have such a terrible relationship with cling wrap. I'm so bad at this, but thought, let's just finish off by wrapping up those pizzas so they're good to go and everything is done. Hang on, Puss Puss. My cat's getting impatient for her dinner. That is it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen. Our dinner is coming along nicely. We'll serve that with some rice, most probably. I didn't get much baking done today, so we're definitely going to have a big baking day, maybe tomorrow or the next day, but anyway, coming up soon for sure. So if you enjoy this kind of content, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know. Look how good this looks. I know that it's before dinner, but I've already cut it. So, you know, it seems like we should be eating it now. So I'm going to go do that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Puss Puss, you're being so impatient. I know. Oh. Yeah.